Welcome all to the Planning Commission meeting. So this is a continuation of the previous PROC hearing on PLN 22066 PROC Investments LLC. We're going to hear from the applicant.
Do you want to do the minutes first? Or?
Yeah, I will. I'll get to that. I just make some statements here. I want to make some.
I thought you were getting into it.
No, not getting started yet. We'll go through a process on that. I just want to make sure everybody who is here understands that that's what we're here to hear tonight. There is no other public hearing or public comment on other issues that are not on the agenda. So I know people signed up and I don't know if they anticipated being able to speak for certain other things, but the only public input will come from the PROC continuation. So before we do that, we have a couple of things we need to do as far as our.
I'm sorry, I
business.
thought we could speak anything on the agenda.
No, it's the only thing on the agenda is that it's public hearing is the PROC. The other what's else is on the agenda is not for public comment. So minutes.
Subdivision?
No.
So we're going to move into our minutes. If we have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 22nd.
I motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you, Cindy. We need a second. I'm sorry, did I hear it?
And you heard it first, we haven't heard second.
I'll second.
Thank you, thank you. Any comments, any questions about the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll start with Kate on the PROC hearing. Kate,
So we have PLN 22-066, which is the PROC limited use permit. Again, this is continued from the February 22nd, 2023 meeting. This is a limited use permit for a multi-purpose venue, including events, rentable rooms, and 10 RV spaces located southeast of Testman Road in Delta. Background, the PC met on this on 2/22/23. It was continued to address fire mitigation, irrigation ditches, stormwater permit requirements. Excuse me.
Hey, can you hold on?
so
just
if you're here for, if you're not here for, if you want to speak for the PROC, PLN 22066, we would want you to sign up if you're here.
I'm just curious, who's the attorney here, please?
We're not really having a conversation
I know,
here.
but I thought if
Cindy,
it
we're
was
not
on,
gonna have
I
a
thought if it was
conversation.
on the agenda that we could speak.
It isn't.
Are you talking about bylaws tonight?
No.
Absolutely not.
Well, it's on the agenda, but it isn't for a public hearing. We're not
But we
having a
should be
public
allowed to
hearing.
speak because you represent us.
It's not a public hearing tonight on the bylaws.
So when are you gonna be talking about the bylaws?
When we schedule that,
When will that be?
when we get to that tonight, when we get to that on the agenda, we'll figure that
And I
out.
want everybody to hear who's on the board. You need to hear from your constituents because you represent the people.
Then you were not making any
Okay.
changes to it. Thank you.
Okay, so again, if you're
Thank you.
expecting to speak for anything other than the PROC, that won't be tonight. We're gonna allow Kate to continue. So we have a sign-up sheet. If anybody here who would like to speak regarding the PROC, please use the sign-up sheet. If you don't, we'll move on. Thank you. Go ahead, Kate.
Okay. Again, this application was continued to address issues for fire mitigation, the irrigation ditches, stormwater permit requirements, lighting, access and traffic safety, the liquor license, and hours of operation. Staff met with the applicants on 2/24/23 to discuss the PC follow-up and then issues to address. And then staff also met with the Delta County Sheriff, Emergency Management, and County Engineering on March 3rd for fire mitigation, access, and public safety. Staff received confirmation from Tri-County in regards to the requirements for a hydrant. Their hydrants require a 6-inch minimum, 6-inch line minimum to serve a fire hydrant. The nearest water line that can support a hydrant is approximately 0.8 miles away, and they have estimated the cost to upgrade this line to be $250,000. Delta County Emergency Management suggested to staff that we check if there are any state regulations for event venues, especially since we do not have fire codes adopted in the unincorporated areas of the county. Staff did reach out to the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. They requested a copy of the proposal so that they could review it to better inform the county on any state regulations that may be applicable in this case. Staff has not received communications back from them as of yet. We also talked about the pond that is located on the property being able to be used for fire mitigation, as well as the potential to use a cistern. Next slide. This is just a reminder of the fire hydrant locations. The aerial was provided to you guys last time in the meeting. The image in the bottom right corner was provided by Tri-County, so it just confirms the locations of the fire hydrants. These images are of the UVWUA irrigation ditches on the property and in proximity to the property. The image on the left is the ditch that is along the east property line between the Proc property and the Snafflebit subdivision. The picture on the right is the ditch along the northern property line of the neighbor to the north of Proc, which is the flag lot. The picture in the middle shows both ditches in relation to the entrance to the venue. The applicant stated that they met with UVWUA, however, staff has not received a copy of said communications. I did speak with them before the meeting. They have tried to email it to me a couple of times, but I have not received it, so I'm not really sure what's going on there, but they do have those communications from UVWUA. This is just an example of lighting that they submitted to us. So in the top left corner, that's what it would look like. And then they supplied some of these images as to what the lighting would look like on the property at night with what they are proposing. Access was discussed with the county engineer. He is here tonight as well to answer any questions in relation to the access specifically. The county road standards for a commercial use, which is also listed as a local road, is 2 7.5 foot wide lanes with 2 foot shoulders, which is a total of 19 feet wide. The existing access meets the rural driveway standards, which is 20 feet wide. So it meets the 19 foot wide minimum for the commercial use road standards. And neither of these standards require paving. A secondary and emergency access easement has not been obtained at this point. So these are some of the images that staff took when we were out on a site visit. The top left is the entrance from Tessman traveling west from 1600 Road. And then that bottom right is the entrance from Tessman traveling south from D Road. So that's that 90-degree right-hand turn. And then this is a close-up of the entrance to the property. The gate that you see here is for the neighbor, which is the flag lot to the west. Staff met with the county sheriff. He expressed concern for the traffic on both Tessman and 1600 roads. He stated that not a lot of accidents have happened on Tessman, but the 90-degree right-hand turn has caused problems in the past. 1600 road is more of a concern as they have issues with high speeds. The line of sight at the intersection of Tessman and 1600 road is also a concern as there is a large cottonwood stump that hinders the views of traveling public. Staff did propose a T intersection with a 3-way stop as a possibility to help mitigate traffic issues. So these are some of the images. The top left is the 1600 road intersection. So this is the DMEA electrical and then the culvert and head gate that is sitting there. And then the bottom right is, I've pointed out where that tree stump is. So people have to pull up a little bit further to see past it for a line of sight onto 1600 road. I did include this again. This was just the circulation from the traffic study. That traffic after leaving the site would either go north up to D Road or they would go east out to 1600 Road. And then I included the project trip generation and timing from the traffic study as well again. So in regards to stormwater, staff did reach out to CDPHE for confirmation on whether or not the stormwater permit would be needed, but we have not received communications as of yet. The applicants did supply documents from the state in regards to the type of liquor license they would need, which is a lodging and entertainment liquor license. And then the applicants have agreed to amend the hours of operations to end all music and alcohol at midnight, which would allow them time to clean up and close the venue by 1:30 a.m. So with that, staff is asking your commission to consider PLN 22-066 PROC, a limited use permit application in accordance with the LUC, as well as conditions, and ask your commission to make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. And that concludes my presentation. The applicants are here. Again, the county engineer is here, and I'm not sure if the traffic engineer who did the traffic study is here. He is here. Okay, so he's in the back corner there. That's Skip Hudson. So he can answer specific questions in regards to the traffic study.
Thanks, Kate.
Mhm.
So before Zach, I'd like to make sure the planning commission, if you have any questions regarding Kate's presentation, this would be a good time to ask.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure, Victoria?
I have an inquiry.
Sure.
I would like to know what law or statute allows us to act as a legislative body while violating our bylaws.
You're not acting in this capacity. You're not acting as a legislative body. You're acting as a quasi judicial body, first of all. And we will be getting to that part of the discussion
Okay,
later.
amend my inquiry. What laws or otherwise statute allows us to act as a quasi judicial body without following our bylaws?
Who said we're not following our bylaws?
We're not following our bylaws in multiple ways right now.
We had a decision about that. Be happy to talk about that later. We have that on the agenda.
So that would be something.
But your assessment of violating the bylaws is not necessarily shared by all of us.
So can we focus on the PROC?
No, I have another inquiry. What governs this body?
State statute.
State statute. And what part of state statute allows us to defy and violate our bylaws?
You said we're doing it. That's your opinion?
No, we can read
Do
our
you have a legal
bylaws.
opinion?
I've forwarded out an email to everyone here with references to laws
When
and
did
specific
you do that?
references to our bylaws
When
just
did you
now,
do that?
just before the meeting. This kind of
I
procedure,
haven't seen it.
10 minutes ago.
so 10 minutes ago. This kind of procedure doesn't require me to give
This
you
is
proper
terribly
notice.
disruptive.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm gonna call for a timeout here. The county attorney has weighed in. We do have the bylaws on the agenda. You have an applicant that is here. You have neighbors that are here. You have an agenda that is outlining the PROC. So at that time, when the bylaws are part of the discussion, and the planning commission can entertain those questions. And the county attorney has also weighed in, so we will be forwarding that to you as well at that time. But again, I would like you to concentrate on the applicant because they are in the audience as well as other members of the community at this time.
I
Thank you.
understand that.
Thank you.
I do believe it's in the best interest of the community to hear that we are governed by Robert's Rules of Order. And in Robert's Rules of Order, when we are in violation of our bylaws, every decision we have is rendered null and void. Again, I have referenced all of this in the email I sent out. So before we can continue, this is a secondary incidental motion on the matter at hand. Anything we come to tonight may be rendered null and void because of the violations in our bylaws as they stand right now,
Okay,
as we are as a commission.
so that'll be certainly something that somebody can determine at a later date if it may be rendered. So from that point on, I want to go back to PROC, because if you're right, then someone may be able to do that. For now, we're going to deal with the PROC. And if there's a controversy or somebody wants to contest what we do, that's something that can happen at a later date. So do you have any
Chairman?
questions regarding the PROC presentation from staff?
Yes, I do. I do have a question.
Sure.
Your duties as chairman, as stated in our bylaws, is to uphold the laws and make sure that all steps taken by this commission are done dutifully. It also states that no matter takes precedence over an inquiry of information. So my inquiry is what law allows us to violate our bylaws and still act in a legislative capacity. And we are creating laws and voting on them. Is that not a legislative capacity? We are not a form of governmental branch right now.
No, we don't create laws.
You know, I would rather hear whatever the county attorney's opinion is on this, rather than to listen to Victoria, who I don't believe has a law degree and is just
You have some
spouting
sort
off
of legal
stuff.
filing.
So I'd like to go on with this. This is
Yeah,
just
so
crazy.
Robert's Rules of Order 33, Section 3 of Parliamentary Inquiry. To obtain information, the chair's duty is to answer such questions as it may assist in the appropriate motion, may assist in the rise of a proper point of order, and might help the commission to understand the parliamentary situation at hand. This is, as I stated, it's a secondary implementary motion, which takes precedence over all other motions that they are connected with. It yields to, I have this all in the email. All can be applied in reference to any motion parliamentary situation out of which they arise. All are in order. And if they require immediate attention, which they do require immediate attention. Okay, Constitution of Colorado states that the ethics in government is that we must hold the respect and the confidence of the people and shall carry out all of our duties for the benefit of the people. They shall therefore avoid anything that is in violation of the public trust or even creates a justifiable impression among the members of the public that trust is being violated. By Robert's Rules of Order, when we are not following our bylaws, which I will now state because I guess the email didn't.
I thought it was.
Mr. Chairman, can I do a motion? We have put out this applicant more than once. And not because he hasn't come to the table with what needs to happen. He's come back several times. The last 2 weeks, my understanding is he's done a lot of due diligence to be able to have necessary information to us about lighting and hours of operation, et cetera. I truly believe, and I will agree with Steve, that this would be an attorney response if that's what she's asking for. I think we owe this man some respect and his time to show up yet again to present what he has found.
And the neighbors who have come.
So
May I
And
s-
the neighbors,
I
yes.
second
It's
Steve's
just
motion.
to address, Victoria, to address your concerns, they all may be legitimate, but you sent this to us 5 minutes ago, so you
Yeah,
really
And
haven't
this
given
does not
anybody,
require
you haven't given
previous
anybody the chance to even review
Me,
it.
okay, point of order then. Point of order that we are breaking our bylaws right now.
Okay,
Right.
and it may, everything we meet that here may be in violation of that, and we're gonna still move forward. If someone so determines that our, whatever we do tonight can be rescinded, that'll happen at a later date, so I wanna move forward. Scott, do you have any questions for
The
staff?
problem is we cannot move forward because we are governed
We
by
collectively as a group can
parliamentary.
decide what we want to do.
You
We would
can't,
need an attorney to weigh in on what you're.
Or we can just
talking
read the
about, because
laws.
you're claiming we're in violation, but.
Okay, we're in violation.
Know the law.
okay, so we are constituted by the Colorado State Constitution
I mean, I would weigh in with the county attorney. I think Cindy said
and
it best.
preserve public
We've got to move
confidence.
this
We
forward.
must have the
We've got
benefit
to
of
hear the
specific
applicant.
standards that guide our conduct.
I don't know.
And a penalty mechanism to enforce those standards. Our specific standards that we abide by are Robert's Rules of Order. The penalty mechanism for when we don't abide by them is that everything we do is rendered null and void.
Why didn't you send this earlier? I mean, give us a chance. Not everybody's as swift as you.
You know, not everyone has time, including myself. I live a very busy life, time to fit in
So what are you,
research
what are you
about this kind
recommending
of
right
stuff.
now? What are you proposing that happen?
I recommend that we follow Robert's Rules of Order and we discuss the violations that are in place right now, as is our dutiful job.
I'm not saying-
being on this commission.
I'm not saying I'm with you or against you. I'm just saying, we brought these people in here, had been, last 2 weeks would have been great to
And like I
give,
said, all of
a
us,
little bit of a
don't
heads
have-
up.
I
just to
agree.
Not waste everybody's time. I
I
mean, he's
agree.
trying to do a job too. I'm not saying you're right or wrong, and
I
I don't want to recoup
apologize
stuff
for the
either.
inconvenience to the
It's
members
just-
that showed up to
you're
this
throwing-
meeting, but as it
You're
stands,
throwing fuel on a
this
fire,
is in the best
you know?
of his interest, because anything that we decide tonight
Well, I'm sure he would have
May
loved
not
for you to
uphold.
tell him other than right
And
now.
I disagree with you that what you're saying is correct, so I think we should move forward.
You can disagree all you want,
That's
but I can
fine.
state
We-
laws.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Let's
make a
agree to
motion.
disagree. Let's agree to disagree, and we're gonna move
That's not how
forward.
Robert's
We bring
rules
this
of
to a
order
Well, that's
close
how
work.
we're
If
gonna
you
work it.
dismiss,
and move this conversation forward. And
That's-
if there is such a thing as closure under Robert's
Virginia,
rules of
So
order-
there's a
Virginia,
motion,
we-
following Robert's Rules of Order, there is a motion on the table. Sydney made a motion to proceed with PROC. Was there a
Yes.
second to that
I
motion?
seconded that.
Here's
Okay.
the thing, no motion takes precedence over a parliamentary inquiry, and it must
So
be
what is your-
You
settled.
are,
So
you
what
are
is your
not a
mind?
parliamentarian, you're not an attorney.
In Robert's
We're
Rules
gonna
of
move
Order,
forward.
every single one of us, as
Let's
members
take a
of the
vote.
commission, has a right
Let's take
to
a vote.
debate, to bring forth a motion. This is a secondary
We're
incidental
not
motion,
talking-
which means that you cannot override it, you do not have to second it, and it must be dealt with before.
This is
you
not
do
a-
it.
Can you-
To recognize that there's a
Well,
land
the
use
question is,
change.
what
Hold
allows?
We have a
Thank you.
motion and a second. We have a motion and a second,
Okay,
and we've noted your issue, and we still have a motion and a second. Is there any
okay,
further
parliamentary
discussion?
inquiry and request for
Victoria.
information do not
Victoria,
require
you're
a
being
second.
unruly and not allowing this to move
They
forward.
are
We have a
not
motion and a
debatable.
second.
They are not debatable, and though they may be accompanied by a brief explanation, no vote is taken for me to get an answer, and we do have a lawyer present. I have read Robert's Rules of Order. If you want to supply me with something from Robert's Rules of Order that goes against what I'm saying, please do so. That's your duty as the chairman, is to inform me, as I've asked you a question, of what the laws are.
Answer her inquiry.
We have a
by saying we're
motion
going to
and a
wait
second.
on hearing from
Can we have a vote?
attorney.
Yeah,
Or is
well,
it
we
they
did say
agree?
that. I mean, we did have an answer from the attorney, but we have it on the agenda after the hearing for the PROC, and we want to discuss it then, but she's not, doesn't seem
Well, the
to
reason
feel
this
like
is
it's.
relevant is because it directly affects our decision
Maybe
making.
we gotta do this before, just, I don't know.
But we have
Yeah, I understand.
Neighbors,
I'm
we have
with you.
You know how
applicant
it is to
here.
apply for.
This is obviously land use code. This is,
This is law.
this
This
is
is
a
the fact
key
that we
land
are
use
breaking the
code.
law.
People are mad.
And
You're
no.
obviously with
What?
them.
No,
But
Steve.
what
need to move
what
on
point
with
is
your
that, are we not abiding by our bylaws, you know?
So there are a couple different ways we're not abiding. Okay, so firstly,
Okay.
when we selected Tom Kay as chairman, that was a violation. of the law.
We're gonna take a 10-minute break.
Thank you,
Thank you. We're gonna take a 10-minute break.
thank you.
PROC, stay where you are. We're just gonna take a 10-minute break. Victoria, your complaint is noted. And I just want to ask, what is specifically your complaint about? My role,
My inquiry, my question
yes,
that I'm making a motion, a secondary incidental motion, which means that it's relevant to be answered
What's your
before we
motion?
can. What laws allow us to act in violation of our bylaws?
I understand.
Because
That's
there
not
are
a motion, that's a
state
question.
statutes that tell us we are not allowed to break our bylaws.
Okay.
Robert's Rules of Order continuously states that our bylaws are our supreme governing body. If our bylaws go over Robert's Rules of Order, we follow our bylaws.
And what
Point of
is,
clarification,
what in
Mr.
the
Chair,
bylaws?
I haven't heard anything of what specifically is being violated in the
What's
bylaws.
violated?
So there are two things. Your term as chair has expired and therefore, and again, I wasn't educated the first meeting that I had here and I was told that we can make an amendment and it's a friendly amendment to vote you in. That's incorrect. So it was a violation of our bylaws. Secondly, the only people that are allowed to serve on this board are members who reside in unincorporated Delta County. So the people that don't reside outside of city limits are breaking our bylaws.
Okay, so can we separate those two out? Because
Yes.
the incorporated versus unincorporated, to me, is a legal opinion. I'm not sure your legal opinion will suffice to answer that right now. Your objection to the way we elected a chairman can be resolved right now if I will step down as chair. Is that fair? Is that fair? Will that address your problem?
If you
If
step
I step
down
down
as
right
chair,
now,
that section of the inquiry and that section of our illegality is solved.
okay, so if I do that, can we proceed with the PROC hearing?
Like I
I don't know
said,
about
to me, this is unethical and immoral for me with the information that I have to sit as we act outside of our capacity.
So if
We
I
are
step down,
bound
what's,
by the bylaws.
what are we objecting in the bylaws?
Besides your chairmanship, that includes the residential status of the
But-
planning
But
commission.
again, that's a legal
You're beating around the
opinion
bush. What do
that
you
we
mean
don't
by
have
that?
quite yet.
I mean,
residential
in our
status.
bylaws, it states that you can only serve on this commission because this commission only determines things in unincorporated Delta County, that you must also reside in unincorporated Delta
Who
County.
doesn't? I mean, just kick it out.
Well, it's a personal thing she's having.
She doesn't. Is this who she's talking
Who it
about
is?
or who are you talking
Quite
about?
I mean,
Come on.
There have,
multiple people.
there
Get it
have
out.
been people, including myself, but that is on the agenda to
Mhm.
discuss later.
Mhm.
So
So
And
I'm
the
trying to
commissioner-
ask, I'm trying to.
and again, it circles
I'm
back to
trying to
the
get a
question.
compromise from you to say,
I
can we
know.
move forward with this? If I step down,
Like I said,
please just answer my
appreciate
question. Can we move forward with Brock if I step down?
no, because we're still not abiding by our bylaws.
You're still beating
So,
around the bush. Tell me.
there's-
which
I
one
saw,
is it? This one
Victoria,
right
Well, the
here?
thing
you're
is-
presenting one thing as fact. I saw a separate resolution that the commissioners had made
Yes, sir, you did.
that seemed to allow for the different residential distribution. of-
Well, and here's where I can reference that the assembly above us, which is the Board of County Commissioners, when they act outside of their capacity, which is to assign members within our bylaw terms, everything they have assigned is null and void. So their assignment of the members that reside
That's
outside.
fine. I hear what you're saying. Is the
When you
county
read-
attorney on hold? Is he ready to opine on this? Because otherwise, we should just move forward. You're presenting a legal opinion, but we don't have a county attorney here to represent a separate opinion.
Our opinion and
I saw a
our
resolution that's
time
arguing something
doesn't
against
matter.
what you said. It was a
The
legally
laws
passed
matter.
resolution. A legally passed resolution certainly matters, and it was recorded. And so I'm gonna say that that resolution carries weight, and you're presenting an argument, you may be true. I'm not gonna present a legal argument in opposition to that. I would ask the county attorney to do that. If he's not on hold, then I think we move this thing forward, and this stuff could be taken up in court later.
So who, amongst us, who lives not in?
We'll talk
We'll
about
get
all that
into
at the end of this. at the
That's
end
part of our
when we-
discussion.
When we have a discussion about it. I want to figure out how do we move forward. Are you satisfied? Will you make a motion?
How we move forward is, like I said, I'm not knowledgeable of everything. I'm not a lawyer. But the information I do have goes against everything that you guys are telling me. So if you can provide me with legal proof, information that we are abiding by the law, then we can move forward as a legal entity.
Are you?
If we're not abiding by the law,
Are you saying
anything we do
we
here is a
can't-
waste of our time.
We can't meet tonight.
I think it's more
Unless
like an
we can-
innocent to
That's right.
proven guilty thing. If you can provide legal information.
I have
that-
provided it. If you
that
open your
an
email right
attorney
now,
can give
you
us
can
information
cite
ahead of this meeting,
anything that I
then
have
fine.
provided.
But in other words, let's move this thing forward. Right?
So
Provide
as
the
the
legal
executive board,
information,
here we go.
get an attorney and get with the county
Victoria,
attorney.
would you
and
let
we can
someone
get
else take
a settlement?
have the floor for just a second? Go ahead, King.
Victoria, I think we're at kind of an impasse. We've heard your opinion on whether this meeting should go on tonight. We've heard that you don't feel comfortable acting, or you don't feel ethical with the proceedings to continue based on your assessment of the legal standing. That is not the opinion of everyone in this room. You can make a motion to end tonight's hearing or table it again. You can make a motion to change the order of the agenda. Or you can choose to not vote on these matters because you don't feel like you want to be represented in what's happening. But you need to make a motion. You need to
have
make a
made a
suggestion.
motion. I
Okay,
have
so
made a
what is
motion.
your,
What's the
My
motion?
what is your
motion
motion?
is that I have a point of information that I'm looking for. That is a motion. It's a secondary incidental motion. And if you would like me,
But so I
we don't
think
have
the chair,
information,
I think
we
the chair
can't
has
continue on
answered your.
legally.
So for us to
This must
accept the
be dealt
motion, we
with.
need a second. isn't
No,
it?
you don't. So in
Oh.
Robert's Rules of Order, this
So
action
how are you,
does not.
what are
need
you
a second.
looking, how are you looking to proceed? Are you
How
looking for the
looking-
meeting to end
It's for
tonight?
us to talk honestly about, are we following the laws here?
Well, I saw a resolution that said we were, so.
No,
Is
the
that
Board
good
of
enough?
County Commissioners who are also not
So
lawyers
I-
and
the-
sent that to Carl.
Point of
and
order,
Carl said,
please,
however.
point of order. I do have a statement that the county attorney has weighed in. It is on the agenda later after the procs have their hearing in front of you, but I will read one portion that addresses the membership. It says, CRS 30-28-103 addresses the membership requirements of planning commission members. It states, each of such members of the commission shall be a resident of the county. In resolution number 2018 R-025, the Board of County Commissioners directed the PC to ensure that such rules adopted are consistent with 30-28-103. The PC bylaws 5.1 is in part inconsistent with the state statute and inconsistent with the BOCC's directive. Additionally, without dispute, the BOCC has the authority to create a planning commission and appoint members within the limitations of state statute. Again, CRS 30-28-103, 1 and 2. The PC has no authority to adopt bylaws in conflict with state statute and the BOC's direction. Summary. The PC has no authority to limit its own membership to those people who live in unincorporated areas of the Delta County. To the extent that PC bylaws 5.1 limits membership to only those who reside in unincorporated areas of Delta County, it is void since it is outside the authority of the PC and conflicts with state statute. So in the county attorney's words, right here in the memo, then the state statute rules, meaning that members just need to reside in Delta County, which they do based on 2018 R-025.
So that's the opinion from the county attorney. And we're gonna, I mean, unless, I think that's the only
not-
legal opinion that we have to follow tonight. So that issue is off the table. Can we move forward if I step down as chair?
Forever or just right now for this?
For tonight, and we're still on the agenda to discuss it at the end, right? For the proc hearing right now.
Okay,
Will you
so-
accept that?
My biggest question right there
Well,
was
that answers
that,
the question, Mr. Chairman.
It does answer the question. So, I mean, I'm trying to address your.
Beyond that,
yes, for us to be within our
Okay,
bylaws, you must
So I'm gonna
resign
resign for
as
this hearing
president.
tonight, and
Just
I'm
for
gonna
tonight.
ask the vice chairman to take it on, and then we're gonna move on to the proc hearing. and
Thank you.
We'll keep moving forward.
But I would, before we
Thank
like
you.
to continue,
So
I would
we're
just
gonna
like to.
recognize other people right now.
I know, I just have one
No,
state
you
statute.
had your time.
We're done.
We're done. We're done.
She
We're done.
said her
We
legal
read
opinion.
it. We're
You're
moving
not an
forward.
attorney.
Victoria, if you need
I
to
just
continue
wanna
to disrupt,
state
I'll have you,
That
I'll
with
ask you
me
to remove
saying
yourself.
everything that I've said and sending out the information that I have, Colorado state statute will hold us liable if we are breaking the law because now we are knowledgeable.
Okay,
that we are
we've
breaking
received opinion from a certified attorney. You are not that. So please don't keep quoting what Colorado law
Yes,
is
I
gonna
don't
make
have
us
to be an
do.
attorney to read something.
You're not an attorney. That would be practicing law, and that's illegal.
We have
So Jacob,
point of received legal advice.
We're gonna stop, okay? Thank you. Mr. Queen, do you have any questions of staff
On the proc, man.
on prop?
Going back to.
Sorry to call you out.
No, that's fine. Not at this time, I do not.
Cindy? I'm sorry.
I do not, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Party.
Minimum pass.
I don't.
You mentioned a T intersection.
Mhm.
Can you just talk about that a little bit? You're taking, can you bring the map back up? Where was it D50 and Testman meet? That would become a T and a three-way stop? Is that what you're saying? Is that
1600 in Testament.
No,
1600? That's when.
sorry, give it just a second.
So that would, T intersection is there. So just,
So where it says project access location,
yeah. Turn
to
that.
make that a T intersection.
And is that a recommendation from the county engineer since we have them here?
That's not what it's.
It was proposed, it was not necessarily a recommendation, it was
Proposed
just
by the applicant or the engineer?
by staff.
By me.
It was,
And can I ask the engineer if anybody a little bit more information about that?
Yeah.
What makes you think that works? I'm just want a little bit more information on it.
If you make it a three-way stop, you don't have people just going around that corner. So you're controlling that intersection. It would be a controlled intersection.
People coming out onto Testament as well as people
On
traveling
Testament,
on Testament. in both
correct.
directions.
And the stops would be from D50 road going south. and
Yes,
Testman
the
going,
whole road is Testman, and
east.
turn south.
we're going west, is that right, Tim?
You would have a stop sign, 3 stop signs, one coming out of Proc, one going west on Tessman, and one going south on Tessman at that. So
So right
where
where the
the
arrow is.
northeast corner of Proc property, that would be the T intersection.
There you,
Okay,
Stop that way. Stop this way.
and it's come out of the rock.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
That's the
and
traffic.
and I think when I want to certainly get your traffic engineer to weigh in, but for now, I just asked staff. Okay, thank you.
Anything?
No,
Tate? Mr. Schrock?
I don't think our engineer or staff have recommended a travel management plan. Is that right?
Correct.
But we could do that as a condition.
I mean, we could.
I mean, it would address routing, signage for events, things like that.
Mhm.
I was struck by staff in the earlier one that we talked about in the email, the 2-year-old event approval that we did for the stand issues, where staff actually addressed signage for events and things like that. It struck me that a travel management plan that would be kind of laid on top of the events would be a good thing to consider. And there would be routing of traffic, signing of traffic and things like that. I just want to make sure that we haven't had that recommended and that we could, in fact, maybe do that ourselves. In the approval of this. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, so the question I have is when we're leaving from 1600 Road on this map and going back in the west direction towards the Proc venue, there would be where I see that arrow right now where it says project access, there would be a stop sign there, correct? There would be one as you're coming out of the Proc event, there would be a stop sign there. And then one as you're coming north to south to the event, there would be a stop sign there. So during an event, would it be more advantageous for an individual to be there bringing people in instead of actually every person actually stopping? Or are you proposing that as people come, everybody would come to a 3-way stop and make the appropriate turn? Because if you have people coming off of or off of 1600 down Tessman, and everybody has to make a stop, most likely, most of those people are heading into this venue. I anticipate you would see people backing up more versus if you had hypothetically a yield coming down from coming down from 6